the Trump transition team is preparing for what will likely be some lengthy confirmation hearings for some of the president-elect's cabinet picks, setting up a war room to promote the nominees and fend off criticism. As some of President-elect Trump's choices are not only unconventional, they may also come under intense scrutiny over possible conflicts of interest. Let's talk about this. Eric Schiffer is a contributor to the Washington Times and Newsweek, and John Hart is editor-in-chief at Opportunity Lives and the former communication director for Oklahoma Senator Tom Coburn. Welcome to you, gentlemen. All right, Eric, let's start off with some of Mr. Trump's picks that have his transition team gearing up and essentially ready to do battle. I mean, we're talking about a war room here to defend. Which picks could be the most problematic, do you see on this list?
Well, I think that you've got certainly the Secretary of State is going to be an issue. The Munchin on the Treasury side will be an issue. They're going to be prepped, though. I mean, you're going to see the Trump team more prepped than ever before, but I don't think it's going to matter. I think the Democrats are coming for blood. This is the first chance that they can come back at Republicans and certainly to fight back against what they see as just this anger at Donald Trump being elected president. And so you're going to see the negatives on these guys plastered on the front of Times Square billboards. But ultimately, I think most are going to make it out of the battle zone. I really do, because they're different and because they're competent. And I think it's this difference that has been the Trump platform. So I think that you're going to see most of them fall through because they support the underlying platform that Trump got in under. And that's what I anticipate. Okay,
but John, we know that the federal government or Senate committees could be the first to uncover potential problems when, they start digging through tax returns and the financial disclosures. So how does the transition team make sure there are no problems, or at least problems that they can manage?
Well, I think what they have to do is first do a very intense internal vetting, and if they do find any problems, to get those out in the open and out of the way. The last thing you want in a situation like this is a surprise. And I worked this process on the Senate side from the perspective of staff. And all of these nominees have already gone through intense vetting, and they're going to continue to. But you don't want to have a surprise at the stage of a nomination hearing. But I do think this election was not about Washington experience. It was about bringing in people who had experience in the real world. My old boss, Tom Coburn, was not a person with Washington experience. Some very capable people in the past. James Baker had no Washington experience when he became friends with George Bush and then worked his way up. So I think President-elect Trump has taken the right path here. He's bringing people in who are competent, who have real-world experience and expertise in their fields.
Right. And, Eric, we have heard, in fact, that each nominee has been assigned a media person to manage negative stories about the nominees and even a policy person to help them through the process. So fairly normal. How is this going to work?
Well, I mean, this is normal in terms of an administration. But again, I don't think it's going to matter. I think these guys are going to get bloodied up. They're going to get slammed. They're going to get hammered. But ultimately, Trump was elected because he's different. He was elected because he's anti-Washington. He was elected because he's not a politician. And the same thing is true with them.
John, one of the transition team's main goals is to have, as you said, as we talked about here, no surprises. So we talked about some of the names on Mr. Trump's list that might cause some problems, that people might be concerned about. How about any of the ones we're not thinking about that could be problematic? Are there any surprises there?
Well, I think you're going to see the Democrats fight this as an ideological crusade because, frankly, they have nothing better to do. They don't have any ideas. They're running on empty in terms of solutions. So you're going to see them attack people like Scott Pruitt for the EPA, Betsy DeVos on education. They're going to say they're too conservative. But, I'm not sure they're going to be able to bloody them up or even break the skin, quite frankly. I think what's going to happen is because Democrats will fight this as an ideological crusade, what that will do is bring Republicans together because the strategic goal has to be to prevent any defections on the Republican side. Because thanks to Harry Reid, who changed the rules to allow executive branch nominees to go through with a simple majority, all they have to do is keep Republican senators on board and not lose 2 or 3, and they'll get all of these nominees through. So I think that reaction on the left that you will see will do nothing but create unity and a sense of purpose on the right, as long as there are no silly mistakes. That's really the main challenge, is to not have any last-minute surprise with financial disclosures, conflicts of interest.
All right. Well, we know that the next 30 days are going to be very interesting and into the new year. We want to thank you guys for being here. Eric Schiffer and John Hart, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Well,